The Lonely Little Worm. The Lonely Little Worm by Jen Genevieve. Dan has a pet. It's not the typical one you see. Look at my worm. Hello. Dan has a worm. It is very tiny. He's like, where you at? Dan had a problem that was making him so sad. No one would play with his worm. He was very mad. Dan went to run some errands. His worm was on display. The cashier laughed. I've got secondhand embarrassment. Put it away. Ew. But it's so cute. Don't you like what you see? Absolutely not. It's making me feel queasy. Dan was very embarrassed. He was so upset. He took his frustration out on strangers on the internet. That's the worst video I've ever seen. You're stupid. Yeah, but Dan, do you comment on my posts? Dan loved his pet. It was his one and only friend. It's playtime. I hate my life. His worm was sad and lonely. It could no longer pretend. I wish people liked me. Aw. His worm had had enough. He packed his bags and left. Bye, loser. I just noticed he has a picture of his worm on his wall. When Dan noticed, he sobbed, completely bereft. Please, please, I can't find my worm. The worm was on an adventure with endless possibilities. Now it had left behind Dan's negativity. Oh, look, he's talking shit about my best friend's balls. Why would anyone find this funny? Yeah, again, Dan, do you comment on my videos? The worm played rough through gardens and into a few holes. I am so deep. It's Helen again. It was so moist in there. Absolute worm goals. Mr. Worm was no longer crusty and dry. When he saw something he didn't like, he just crawled by. He's like, no thanks on the maggoty taco. But I'll take the peach. Ooh, this peach looks delicious. Life for Mr. Worm couldn't get any better. He was very good at draining. He was very clever. Look at all of these holes I plowed. But life for Dan went right downhill. He trolled strangers for hours and felt no guilt. Surprised you can even read, you're so stupid. Dan tried to find another mate. He scoured his garden till it was very late. Found one. I'm not lonely anymore. You're big, aren't you? Score. Dan stayed awake all night, playing with his new worm. The worm wasn't having fun. Dan made him squirm. Send help. Come with me. Let me show you something neat. I don't want to be burped again. They went to his computer. Here, take a seat. They saw a video. It was really funny. Dan didn't laugh. He just spat out his dummy. The worm watched Dan type out his negative words. I hate this and I hate you. Yeah, again, Dan, get the fuck out of my comment section. The worm thought, this guy is really getting on my nerves. The next day was hot, sunny, and dry. New Mr. Worm went sunbathing. He committed suicide. The moral of the story is this. Negative comments won't make you feel better, and it definitely won't make your worm any wetter.